We were talking about this over at dinner, but your last gig in Asbury was 47?
1947.
Yeah, so where'd you play?
Convention Hall.
Oh,
It
man.
was Vaughn Monroe's band.
Oh, okay. All right, so Von Monroe, so what was that, a full big band then?
18-piece band.
Oh, man.
And 6 singers.
6 singers?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that's crazy. So, I mean, I can't get over this, right? You basically played with everybody. And I think I asked you this. Who's the first guy that comes to mind?
Well, I always think of Frank Sinatra.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he really was as good as everybody said, huh?
I like Benny Goodman, too.
Yeah? I heard he's okay.
He's pretty good.
So, now, you're from Patterson, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, Patterson's changed a lot over the years. I went to school up there. So what was it like when you were there, and then what was it?
Well, when we were going to Central High School, all the guys that like to play would go to Sandy's Brick Bar on Main and Market underneath Abelson's store. And who was playing there in those days was Joe Mooney. Great talented accordion player and singer. And he had a quartet. In fact, my Uncle Bobby Dominic played with him before the war. They always had a group like that. It was just clarinet, accordion, bass, and guitar. But we were thrilled. And then once in a while, Joe would invite us up to play with him, and he'd back you up like $1 million. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that's how I got started playing with you. You had this gig in Glen Rock, and you invited me up to play one night, and I was scared to death. But it's just like you said. When you're playing behind you, it's pretty easy to sound good.
That's right.
You know, when you have a great guy behind you. I mean, and that was what you made your reputation doing, was just being
That's right.
the baddest rhythm section around, right?
Yeah.
So doing that, you pretty much play with everybody. Now, this is an interesting point. Since you have played with everybody, you've seen just about every era of jazz.
Right.
From Benny Goodman
Yeah.
through all the changes.
Well, we knew about the big band. That was the tail end of the band business.
Mm-hmm.
All the big bands were breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went into just using a sextet.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time he ever used the big bands when he went to Europe, and he had an English band there. They were all dying to play with him, and so they played real great.
Well, so what's the biggest change in jazz from when you started to today?
That's a good question.
I'm glad I had one.
There's no change in jazz. You either play it or you don't play it.
Yeah? Well, what about the listeners? Because it seems like a lot of people listened to it back in the day, but it's not as popular anymore.
That's their fault.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's, but I think it's something real important that I think if they were exposed to it again and being able to hear guys like you, you're one of the last guys from that era. And I don't think it's a mistake that whenever people hear you, you say, jazz is pretty cool. So, you mentioned the war, okay? And somebody like me, it's hard to understand just exactly what that did.
Well, I was 18 and I got drafted out of Vaughn Monroe's band. So, I cried a lot when I left that band.
Yeah?
Because I was with him already a couple of months.
Was he your first gig?
I was 17.
Yeah. And you're 25 now, correct?
88.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I went to the Army, and I ended up doing all kinds of infantry things. Firing a rifle, making amphibious landings in California.
Oh, wow.
And we had special 16 weeks of infantry training to be able to do any one of the 12 men in a squad.
Oh, wow.
So you had to fire a certain rifle if you were a scout, and then later on you might have to shoot a 30 caliber, or they had a BAR, which was an automatic rifle with a lot of bullets in it.
Did you still get to listen to music in the Army? Were you still...
We had what they called V-discs.
Oh yeah, victory discs, right?
And they were the best. They were all made by the big bands for the troops.
That's great. And now, when you got home, you went right back into the big band thing?
A week later.
Oh, it took a week, huh?
But you know, on the way home, we stopped at a rest camp to stay over. He couldn't make the trip in one day
Right.
from Austria to La Havre. And we stopped at this camp, and who did I hear? It was the Nat Cole Trio playing Paper Moon. I said, holy smokes, that is the best thing I ever heard. And the first thing I bought when I got back to New York was Nat Cole
Oh man.
playing. You know the record I'm talking
Oh,
about?
Paper Moon? Are you kidding me? I'd sing it, but they'd turn off the cameras. So now I have one more question just to ask. Now you said your first gig was when you were 17, and you're still kicking strong. I remember the first time I called you to ask if I could take a lesson. You said, I'm in Switzerland for the week. Can you call me when I get back? So you've been playing for about 80 years.
Right.
Now, if you add up everybody else's age that's in the band tonight, I think you get 72. I'm 23, bass player's 26, and the drummer's 23. Why do you still play, and more importantly, man, why do you still play with guys like us? Because, I mean, for us, it's amazing, and it's...
You're carrying the torch the way we did. You're carrying the torch, keeping everything alive.
I hope.
And we play the same tunes.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I think it's important that people realize that jazz is alive, right? Especially in a place like Asbury Park. Would you agree with that?
That's right.
And boy, and I really wish, there are a lot of reasons a lot of the guys back in those days aren't around now, but the ones that we still have, I think it's a real treasure, and I'm really glad you still love playing.
I love it.
I know Johnny Smith, for his own reasons, great player, and had personal reasons.
I know Johnny. Yeah, when he first came down from Maine, he was living with Lou Mecca in Passaic. And believe it or not, he played in a hillbilly band
Get out.
called Lum and His Friends. That was the name of the band.
Oh, see, now if hillbilly music had Johnny Smith, I would listen to it all day.
That's right.
All right, so off the cuff here, what's your favorite tune?
I think the one called This Nearly Was Mine
Oh, yeah.
from South Pacific. And the next best is one by David Raxon called, what was the name of that? I can't think of the name of the picture. I'll think of it.
Okay, yeah. Now,
The band are beautiful.
oh, yeah. I heard Gene Bertoncini do an arrangement on some of that stuff.
And then he also wrote Laura, too. So
Yeah.
Not a bad tune.
That was my mom's name, so.
Oh.
Yeah. So she wanted me to. She was actually named after that tune, so that'll be an important one for me to learn. But thanks so much for doing a gig. I'm loving it, and I think the thing I love most, I think I told you, is it's anybody can see that you're having a blast when you play,
you
and
bet.
I'm glad to know that you're up there still having fun. So thanks so much.
Thank you.